Welcome to part 5 of Planet Narkariss. Let's continue. So, how often does Narkariss get visits from other aliens from other worlds?
Well, the Nakarans are very private individuals. They don't intermingle and never have. They just don't believe in it. They don't believe in involving themselves with emotional races because it can literally destroy the tranquility of their entire existence. They do have a lot of different alien species coming to visit them to discuss different ideas, different ways that they may be able to help the Nakarons, or the Nakarons may be able to help them in their evolution. They're allowed to come in, but they cannot come with their own ships. What happens, they come outside of the force field and Nakaron sends a ship up and it goes through the force field, picks them up, who's going to come down, and they're limited to who can come down. Like they might have a party of, say, 30, which is pretty rare, actually. Normally it's around about, say, 10. And they'll be brought down, but before they can actually enter into the arena of the public, they have to be taken to a place and they have to walk through this, like, it looks like a time tunnel. And it's got different rays of energy, which is living energy. And as you walk through, it scans you. It scans your DNA and finds your emotions that are negative. And it literally removes that part of you, that DNA. And it goes into a specific little, like a microchip. Let's say use it as a microchip. And when you come out the other end, you don't have negative emotions and you don't act negatively and you aren't aggressive. All of that is placed in, let's say, this microchip. So you can talk sensibly and you're willing to reason. There are aliens that aren't willing to reason, but that's why they go through this like time tunnel. And it's about probably about 15 meters long. And it's quite tall and a little bit wider. But when you decide to leave, you walk back through another machine and that information is transmitted back into your DNA in the exact order that it was taken out of. So when you leave, you're taken straight onto a ship and back to yours. So there is no, how would you say it? No negative traces are brought in to Narkariss. It's very, very important because when you have all these different levels of thinking, there are lots of alien beings that don't have the capacity in how to reason. And if they feel threatened, they become hostile. And that causes issues, not just in themselves, but it can cause issues because of their energy. It can make a Nakaron feel uncomfortable. So Nakaron then has to go through another type of machine that calms them and cleanses their energies. It's very, very important. And if we look at it, you know, I've said to you, you go into a shopping centre, you go into a crowd of people, you might have a really good outlook, you might feel fantastic. Several hours later, you can't work out, my God, geez, I feel drained, I feel tired. You've been drained, probably by, half the people there, because they don't know how to cleanse their own energies because they've been drained. So they're literally sucking us like vampires.
Sure.
And that's what you've got to be careful of.
Sure. I have a question about plastic, metal, glass, etc. What's it like on Narkariss when it comes to substances like that and how they're used?
A very, 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 very long time ago on their first planet, everything was made out of a clay substance, heated through these unusual type of fire machines, and everything was created from that. Glassware, plateware, pottery, everything. And as time went on, probably about 3 million years into their existence on that planet, things start to change. They become very imaginative with their imagination. They discovered what the meaning of living energy was about 3 million years into their evolution. So that's 24 million years of evolution knowing about living energy. So what they've created through imagination, because they're great believers in imagination. That's why I did the podcast with you on the power of imagination. It's more than what we realize here. They now create everything, again, from living energy, just like their books that are physical in their library. Everything is created from living energy. It's brought in, and at the end result, it's created. Whether it's a spoon, whether it's a fork, whether it's a glass, and they can even say in that machine, they program it through their hands, program it and say 5,000 glasses at this height, shaped like this, whatever it may be, clear, or with a dragon on it, or with a flower on it. And what comes out is exactly what their thought consciousness could see in their vision. And that's how they come out. And the Nakarons can go to a massive warehouse and pick up 6 of these goblins. Perfect. But everything is created from living energy, manifested into physical reality, because it is energy to begin with, just like here on Earth, created from an atom into solid matter, because an atom is microscopic. Well, you don't see an atom. We had better eyes, we could.
Yeah. I'm curious to ask about the shoes that they wear and how they do up and how they work and that.
Well, you're going to find this really interesting. They don't have shoelaces. They don't have zips. What actually happens with their costumes, their clothes, and that's why I'm so I'm adamant that I would love to be able to say create a whole new line of clothes from my imagination, my vision of what I used to wear as an Nakaron back on my planet. When you put a suit on, in most of them, especially like if it's a military type thing or going out in the evening, you slide your feet in and it goes into the pants and into your shoes. Your shoes are already created with your pants. And you can literally communicate with your clothes and with your shoes from a conscious level. And you can say to your shoes, slightly tighter, please. And your shoes will literally tighten up. That is thought consciousness brought into physical reality to create the end result. And it's absolutely magical to actually observe. But that's how they do it. Clothes are exactly the same. All clothes are created originally as a material created from living energy, brought into physical reality. And then there are people who create the clothes because they love doing it. And their clothes range it's such a, you know how you have jumpsuits? Well, the jumpsuits that we have here on Earth are nothing compared to what are actually on Narkariss. You have multicolour, you have one colour, you have all colours. And the colour fashions are so different. They wear lots of colours. They might wear, say, a sort of a light creamy suit, like a jumpsuit, whether it's wrinkled, whether it's flat, it'll have orange in it. Or it might have red, or it might have blue, depending on the occasion or depending on where you are or what you're doing. Most Nakarons wear long pants and a top, which is a fold over from the left to the right or the opposite. It doesn't really matter. And when you bring it over, there's no zips, there's no buttons. It literally permeates into the fibre of the other side and it becomes a part of you. And all you actually say is when you release it, you just say, let go, please, and it lets go because it's consciously living. That's what happens when you create from living energy. It's living. But through your thought consciousness, you've created it into a format, a substance, a shape, but it's still living. And it wants you to command it because it's there for you. We're here on Earth. We go out, we chop trees down, we plane them, we cut them, we saw them, and we put them into hardwares or timber places. We create bricks from the earth. We lay concrete for foundations, for driveways, by mixing it, pouring it, all that type of stuff. Everything is created from thought consciousness on Narkariss. We're here. It's created through physical handling, whether it's through machines or our own hands.
And taken from physical, like taken from the earth.
Absolutely. Where the Narkarons take everything from the atmosphere. Their lighting, for instance, that is so unbelievably beautiful through their entire planet. When the planets are lit, it's like looking at a shooting star. It's just incredible. And every single household, every building has a device. And the entire roof structure draws in living energy. And the internal ceiling doesn't have light bulbs. It has a ceiling, but you just say, lights on, please. And the lights come on. It's like they're shining through the ceiling. And if you say stronger, please, it goes brighter. If you say dimmer, please, it dims. If you say one side, please, it'll go to the left or the right because it's living energy. And it's been drawn in from the atmosphere into this roof, through this machine, and it literally creates your electricity. There's no paying for electricity like here on Earth where all these mongers are making billions and trillions of dollars on us. We're getting poorer, they're getting richer. That doesn't exist on Narkariss. They believe in equality. And everyone can be a prince. Everyone can be a queen. That's just being hypothetical.
Okay, cool. Hey, I think it's time that we now speak about the Narkaron spaceships.
Okay.
My first question was a kind of obvious one because we've seen this in sci-fi. I think it's obvious, but do they create an artificial gravity so they can move around the ship in a normal way?
Absolutely. If you travel in a spaceship at, say, the speed of light or 10 times the speed of light, if you haven't got a gravity field that equals the gravity that is being forced upon your ship at high speed, like light speed, you will be crushed into a vapor up against the wall. The power of that force would be so great that every bone in your body would be crushed, nearly disintegrated. So what they have done through living energy, they talk and communicate through thought consciousness to create a force field within their ships that are there all the time. Once their ships are turned on, it exists. And you can walk around at light speed as if you are in your own home walking around your corridors. And you will not be thrown from left to right. Even if the ship takes a sudden turn, you'll still be walking perfectly. You won't sort of fall to the left or fall to the right or fall to the floor. That's the way they have set up their spaceships. Like if you take like the way we as humans, right? We take off from the Earth. We're shaken so bad going up because we're going against the force, gravity. And eventually when we get into space, everything feels, I feel suddenly really good. But before that, it's pretty bad. Your whole body is shaking violently in a way.
Yeah, and you said is it possible to travel faster than light speed? Like you said, 10 times light speed. Is that possible?
Yeah, the light ships that the Narkarons have can probably travel about 30 times, 30 light speeds. If that, I'm not sure.
30 times the speed of light?
30 times the speed of light.
Wow.
Yes. And especially if they're going through a synthetic opening to another doorway into another galaxy. They do travel really fast. It's very important that they actually do that so they don't get ripped apart. But light ships would never get ripped apart. And light ships are very different to solid matter. The Narkarons, in the beginning, have always made their ships out of solid matter, which is living energy. And it looks just like a metal ship, but it's not. It's living energy. Today, their ships are created through thought consciousness, but by beings who are ascended. And they create these ships by coagulating all their thought consciousness together as one thought consciousness to create such a massive light ship. And only about several years ago, their actual the last light ship left the Earth's vibration. They no longer exist in our vibration. They have left. They have left us to ourselves. They have been there for 928,000 years because they have felt personally responsible for putting 87,000 Narkarons on this planet who mixed with the locals. And eventually, after 274,000 years, they discovered Atlantis. And everything changed because Atlantis was actually built by the Narkarons. And it was over 100,000 volunteers who were beings of light who stepped down in vibration to become physical again, which took many thousands of years.
It's like the opposite of ascension, isn't it?
Yes. It's called descension. And they were the ones that built Atlantis and also built the most beautiful city called Lemira. Some call it Lemora, but I like to call it Lemira. And that was really beautiful, that city, absolutely beautiful before it all exploded.
Can we just clarify for everyone why we couldn't see this light ship that was here in our vibration? We see third dimensional. Our eyes see third dimensional. We live in a third dimensional world of physical matter. When beings live in a light world where physical matter like ours could not exist unless under certain circumstances, we don't vibrate high enough to actually see. Our third eye is not active enough to actually see that. I mean, there's only a very small percentage that actually can look into spirit world. And I mean a small percentage, very small. So if we can't even see into spirit world, which is fourth dimensional, it's only a veil between the third and the fourth, well, there's no way in the world we're going to see a spaceship that's a quarter of the size of Earth. Wow. So this spaceship, this light ship that had Narkarons on it and maybe some others, they were here for our history until recently. What were they doing to help us, and what weren't they doing because it wasn't a part of their plan? Like why couldn't they have helped us more, for instance?
Well, you heard the old saying, and I know it's an excuse, but you can't interfere too much because you have to let a species grow under their own form of evolution. If you interfere too much, you can't change the consciousness. It may appear you can, but you can't. And until an individual can step beyond that vibration, they will always live the way they live. And if you look at human history, we've had over 157,000 violent, bloody wars. And we've literally slaughtered our own kind, roughly between 17 and 19 billion of our own kind, viciously. So bad, it's not funny. So you've got to allow a species to grow. Now, what they've been doing, they've recorded the entire history of the planet for the last 928,000 years of evolution. They've also taken many of us who want to change, who have shown certain signs to want to change, and they literally enhance our DNA to release more knowledge so we can share that knowledge. with others. So maybe it might help to change the thought consciousness.
I see. But now it's time. They've left
Yes.
the compacts in Narkariss, I guess, and
Yes, they left me.
they left you behind.
They left me behind.
Is it possible? Is it related to Narkariss if we talk about crop circles?
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, very much so.
Did the origin of crop circles come from one of these light ships that was a quarter the size of Earth?
Originally, yes. Most of the crop circles that were created on Earth were actually created by the Narkarons with the help of another world, and one of those representatives was the one I've mentioned many times called Kadi. And Kadi was actually in charge of a lot of that. She learnt, because they lived to about also 600 years old. They have a very long lifespan, and they originated from a large species of insect that existed on their planet so many millions of years ago. And as I said to you, Cadiz now been given one of the greatest honours, where an ambassador of their planet stood down after the Narkarons left the vibration of planet Earth, and she was given the status of becoming the ambassador to represent her world, not just to Narkariss, but to other worlds.
Wow.
And all the crop circles, except for a couple that were man-made, were created for the main reason was to give you, as humans, the energy. So it literally is impregnated. And the knowledge of what is within those crop circles could be emitted outwardly throughout your life to share. So that was their way of saying, we here are your brothers and sisters. And that's why I created the book called The Book of Knowledge, I Am Alien. And a lot of that is actually shared in there. It's all about other alien races. It's all about understanding human disease and why we create it. It's all about our emotions. It's about how we learn to feel with the heart, how we can heal with the light. And the Narkarons are very much, by the way, into healing. They understand living energy, and they can transfer through their thought consciousness by putting their hands up and drawing this energy within and then projecting it to wherever they want to project it. And the Narkarons in the light ships used to do that all the time. They would have sessions where every single Narkaron would be sitting down projecting this energy to planet Earth. So we can pick it up consciously to help us go beyond our level of understanding, our level of thinking.
Wow.
And the light ships, by the way, they are created from living energy brought into solid form. And most Narkarons who are ascended can just pass through the walls because it's energy. Yet, if other alien beings who are solid, they walk on the floors or touch the walls or lie in the beds as if it's a solid ship. It's quite interesting how all of that is formed.
Wow. So that's where Kadi was operating for quite a while?
Oh, yes, for a long time, probably for about 160, 170 years.
Wow.
One of the things that I want to say, this is maybe a little bit beyond what we're talking about, but the Narkarons, they don't believe that they're responsible for causing any havoc upon this planet, because if they didn't put the 87,000 here, the locals probably would still be living in caves. They would not have gone very far in evolution, that's for sure, not in the 928,000 years, because they never even had a proper language at all. And they were just wearing like skins, and it was like grunts for their language. With the Narkarons mixing intimately, it changed the course of their history. But it also changed the course of the 87,000 because it made them, I think, a little bit more humble, even though there is still today a lot of greed, there is a lot of violence, there is mass murderers on this planet. There are very evil people. And I remember I read something one time. It says that there is no such thing as evil. It is just undeveloped energy. And I thought about that over a long period of time without judging it. And I came to a conclusion within my own being, my own consciousness, that they are 100% wrong. And I'll say that with force. There are beings on this planet who over many lifetimes have caused horrendous pain for, let's say, the innocent. And yet others will criticize me and say there's no such thing as anyone being innocent. Well, actually there is. If someone is not trying to harm anyone and is helpful, kind, loving, and somebody comes along and kills one of their children, it's natural that that person will despise that person that did that horrible act. And I believe unless you root out evil, you will never give a planet, a species, an opportunity to grow beyond what they are in consciousness. Because fear always holds people back from growing. It's like when you have a monetary system, you have problems. And I mean massive problems because we teach ourselves through society, through media, through our parents, through society, that you have to struggle all your life to try and find some way of making lots of money, having a house, having cars, and living a life of luxury. Where on Narkariss, I just got to laugh at this. Every Narkaron is richer in every possible way than the greatest wealth in beings upon this earth. They have no stress. They have no anger. They love themselves. They love each other. They are willing to work and help others without a problem, without a hesitation. They go and play sport. They dance. They play games. They read. They can do the most amazing things. And I didn't mention this. They have a race in space. They have things what I would call is a hover. And a hover is like a flat board, like a surfboard, but it's much larger. And when the force field is down, you lay in it on your belly. And it has these devices where your arms go and it's perfectly aligned. And this foam type substance molds to your body. And you drive it. And you can see with the glass screen, and when it closes, which is a force field, you say force field on, and it's fine. It's all around. It's impenetrable. They can travel at a speed of light, at one only. And they have races in space or around their planet, so you can get around the planet faster. And they have this massive, what's that word called when you have something like you win a trophy, but it's very different to what's here on Earth, like a tournament. That's it, tournament. And there might be like, say, 5 or 10,000 Narkarons that are going to fly around the Earth, or they're going to fly in space. And they're all flying. No one ever hits anyone. It's just quite amazing because the actual hover is living consciousness and it knows how to interact with every other hover. So they never ever have a collision. Never have in all that history, which is really interesting. And the winner, they can choose whatever they want. They don't get money or prizes or trophies. They get a holiday to the most unusual places. And there's some very unusual places that you can go and have a holiday. Up in the mountains, by the cliff sides, wherever you want to go. They have cliffs that are so high that they have literally carved out the rock and put these massive platforms on the front where you can land a spaceship, a portable spaceship. And you can literally come to that planet in a spaceship, and you can go inside this mountain and you have luxury living. It's quite incredible. But there's places like that. But these hovers are brilliant to fly in. You imagine lying on your belly with your arms just slightly stretched out and your fingers in these pads. And when you press your hand left, you go to the left. When you press right, you go to the right. When you press down, you go down. Right? When you raise your hands slightly, they go up. And you can do a full circle. They're amazing to travel in. You see directly in front of you space. You got a special pair of, it's like a fitting face helmet on your face. And it sits there, and what it does, it literally reads your thoughts. So when you say left, it goes left. When you say right, it goes right. When you say down 30 degrees, it goes down 30 degrees. When you say up 10 degrees, it goes up 10 degrees. It does whatever you want it to do. And it can do it at the speed of light. It takes a hover, I think, if I remember in my mind, I think it's about 11.7 minutes to travel around the planet Narkariss from point A back to point A. So you could imagine, like, say, 100 of these little hovers flying around the planet to see who's going to win. And it's just a game. And they have these massive, massive screens. And they have these camera systems built in space within their force field. And they can literally film everything that's actually happening. And you can see it on all these massive screens. And these screens are like in a notorious, like a, what do they call those things where you go, like a gladiator's arena, that's it, the word arena. And it's got screens going all the way around. And you can just see everything. It's quite incredible. I just wanted to add that in. And that's like one of their most entertaining things that they do. And by the way, especially the older Narkarons, not so much the younger ones. Where on Earth, it's always the younger ones that are travelling at crazy things like, on Earth. But there, it's the older Narkarons that want to do it. It's quite interesting. Total opposite.
Yeah. Can you talk about Narkarons when it comes to competition and therefore the need for sport or anything else like that?
Oh, yeah. That's why I've always been against competition, because I believe if we look at the real essence of competition, I've seen so many people in my time that have failed at something in competition, and it has literally shaken the foundation of their existence and created their future, where they have felt so less in being self-worth for failing that it literally changes their pathway in life. And yet there have been those that fight like hell to win, and it's great. Others, it's so egotistical. And I think it just depends on the individual, how they grow up, what sort of lessons they've learned from life, experienced. But the Narkarons have never been into competition. They don't believe in it. It's never been a forte of theirs. They believe competition leads to disaster. Why would you have to prove that you are better than another? That's their philosophy, when we are all equal. They do, one thing they do, I've got to admit this, they do what they call the long-distance run. And it's all done barefoot. And they have special clothing that they have to wear and their colours and all that type of thing. And what it is, they start at one given point. But it goes on for kilometres and kilometres and kilometres and kilometres. And they got high jumps that they got to get over. They got to run over rocks, these massive boulders, climb over these boulders, and eventually someone's a winner. And everyone throws their hands up and, congratulates the winner and all that. But there's no ego. It's just open fun. That's what they class it as, open fun. You see, there's no money involved. Where here, they pick you because you've got potential to win something, and they're riding a lot of money on you in their business. And if you don't win, then people will look at your business as a failure because you've got that person who's just lost for you, and the image is not good. So they only want winners, and that's really bad for, say, someone's growth.
I want to mention in here also that you had mentioned to me that the Narkarans do certain challenges that are personal, so they can put a virtual reality headset on, or is it a mask? Is that what they put on, a mask?
They do wear a mask, yes. They can put a mask on that actually brings out that, yes.
And they're fighting against the game. It's not against each other.
No. They actually love climbing. They really enjoy mountain climbing. They enjoy underwater swimming. They're really good. They can hold their breath up to 4.5 minutes nearly underwater, and they do love it. And they also love what they call, let me just give me a moment on that. Discus, that's it. Well, they have something similar. They have something they swirl over their head, and then they lunge out and they throw it. But what happens is their thumb is pressed on a button, and they know exactly when to let it go. And what they do is they let go of this. It looks like a disc, but it's not. It is made from some sort of metal, and it depends how far you throw it. And they love that. They love the feeling of actually throwing their body in a complete circle several times and then letting this go by clicking, and this thing just flies. It's quite incredible.
And is the aim to get it as long as you can, as far as you
can? Absolutely. And if you get it to the given point, what is at the other end is like a knockover vice, where if you hit it, right, then you become the instant winner. But if you don't, then it's the furthest thrown. And they all laugh about it. It's all just a great big laugh and an enjoyment. That's all. Not all Narkarans do it. It's just some.
I see. Kuntarkis, there was some trouble when the Narkarans first moved to the new planet. Can you explain that?
They were losing some people and they couldn't work out why. So they had to set up all these sensors to find out. And there was a very, very wicked creature that was about probably 4 times the size of a normal Narkaran. And it literally was a massive carnivore. And it had a very big mouth, a big rippers on its thing, like crocodile teeth. And it literally would kill anything if it could. And it literally was killing Narkarans. And was killing quite a few, apparently. So they literally sent out all these sensors that took photography. And they even put out what they call, it's not actually animal flesh, but it smells and tastes like it. So it would lure the creatures, and it did. And they discovered that this beast was a hider. It only came out for about 2 hours of the night and the day. And it lived underground in these unusual tunnels, very deep underground. And when it came out, it would go for anything it could and take it back to its hideaway and devour it.
Did it have a tail?
No tail.
So 2 arms, 2 legs.
Yeah, its back legs were shaped like human legs in a way. And it could literally stand up, but it could also run on 4 very fast, very fast. And they end up creating a massive hunt all over the entire planet. And they set up all these cameras to find out where their lure was. And they discovered, and Narkarans went in and killed the lot, got rid of them, slayed them. They slayed them with swords.
That's another thing you haven't mentioned. They prefer the sword.
They do prefer the sword, Narkarans, yes. They have always preferred the sword. They do have what is called a pulsating energy beam that they can shoot from their shoulders. And they set this thing on there when they go into battle in the past, but now they only use swords. And because they have a protection, no Narkariss has ever died for several million years.
Wow, several million years. And the sword is extremely sharp, I'm guessing?
If you touched it, you would slice through and take all your fingers off. Because if you just put the weight of your fingers on the sword and you didn't feel pain, you'd look again and your fingers would be basically nearly removed.
Wow, what would you say it's made of?
I honestly could not tell you at this time.
Because it's technology, isn't it?
It's technology, and the sword actually has a beam around it also. And if like someone like Kuntarkis, my brother, if he swung his sword with his strength, he would chop through anything from 5 to 10 people. Enemies, I should say, enemies. His force was so powerful, and the sword being long and sharp, and it would just cut through, right through, just chop them in half. That's how powerful the swords were. That's why the Narkariss were, they were called the most fearful race when it came to war, not violence, war, because they would always complete their task no matter what. Especially aggressive alien races that wanted to dominate and control. It just wasn't permitted. And you remove the evil, you remove the threat. And that's when a civilization can no longer feel fear, and they can grow consciously, and they can start putting more energy and time factor into understanding all that is.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And also, one thing more, they can actually volunteer to go to other worlds and spend lots of time there to actually help them grow if that world asks for guidance and knowledge.
Wow, that's great. Well, Kuntarkis, as we come to a close, is there any final words you'd like to share?
Yes. One of the things that I've discovered, I've been presenting seminars over a 35-year period, and I've met quite a few thousand people and many, many thousands in my time as a sales rep. What I've discovered and what I've always said to people, it's very important that when you seek knowledge, seek it with an open mind and an open heart. Try not to judge what you hear. Learn to listen to your heart. And when you listen to your heart, what you will discover is the truth. And that's what's important. The truth. All else is illusion. And we all know what illusion does. It leads us to delusion.
I'm just laughing because your final word is delusion.
Yeah, delusion. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Would you leave us with some Sanskrit words from your home planet?
Okay. Domihai saiekoto neshni lata mumaka anikumatati shapu. When we each learn to speak from our hearts, we will hear a song that will open up everything that we are, because it is the heart that is true. All else is illusion.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kuntarkis.
You're very welcome.
This concludes part 5, the final part of Planet Narkariss. If you'd like to know more about Kuntarkis, simply search for him online. And if you'd like to contact us, even if you'd just like to say, hey, what about such and such when it comes to this planet? If there's something that we missed that we didn't share, then simply email kuntarkis@gmail.com and we can share the answer at the end of a future episode. So thanks for listening. My name's Michael Yon, and stay tuned for more.